You've tuned into the Bellingham Podcast for the week of October 4th, 2020. This is episode 167. From that slightly overcast city by the Salish Sea, I am AJ Barse.
And straight out of 9226 in my Carhartt flannel, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, we're continuing the Quarantine Chronicles. I've stopped keeping count because this thing is never going to end, isn't it, folks? We're hoping for the best. But in the meantime, AJ and I are going to have a chat. It's going to be a spirited one. We might throw some businesses under the bus. This, you beautiful, snarky listeners, is the Bellingham Podcast.
I'll just lead in with a chuckle.
I'm leading in with a curveball.
Whack!
Yes.
How you doing, Chris?
How am I doing? You first. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm forest bathing at the Northridge Trail, looking at the beautiful overcast sky, and got a 6-string axe up by my side.
Yes.
So.
You and Jimmy Buffett both.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
We'll talk about some new additions to the fam, the GuitarFam in this case, later on.
It's a gear episode.
My wonderful gentleman to yonder, among appropriate social distancing. Last episode we talked about the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. How the heck did it go?
Went good. I mean, it was an army of one. It was me. Actually, one other person, which if you're a listener of the show, reach out to me. You can find me on the interwebs through our website at bellinghampodcast.com. But yeah, and it was cool. I basically set up a 20-mile route through Bellingham, strapped on a GoPro, which was kind of funny for part of it. But yeah, it was really cool. I will say, not as fun as I usually do with my mates across the border up north.
Of course.
Just because when you have 200 people dappered out on motorcycles, hitting every stoplight and talking about men's mental health and prostate cancer awareness and stuff, it's a lot more of a head turner than one solo guy in tweed in hipster town Bellingham, USA. You know what I mean?
However, the solo dapper extraordinaire still did the ride.
Oh, yes. No, I did. So yeah, I tied in, I did a little different route than what I mentioned on the show. I basically started up in our neck of the woods, descended to Barkley, went down Alabama, cruised kind of a tic-tac-toe pattern of downtown Bellingham, ran into some people that I knew, which is really cool.
Yes.
Shout out to Eric and Bren.
Hello, Eric and Bren.
And it was, yeah, so like I turned some heads and stuff, and online, you know, I had some conversations about why I was doing this and stuff, which is all part of the good. So yeah, that was the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, Solo Ride 2020.
Wait. Don't leave us hanging.
What?
What was so funny about the GoPro?
Oh, yeah. So I had a GoPro strapped to a push-up pole on my back. So that I had.
I love all the visuals I just got from
seriously.
that. We want to keep this clean. Could you please clarify?
So imagine a tripod sticking out of my back, sitting on a motorcycle, wearing a 3-piece suit. Don Draper would be proud.
Of course he would.
And GoProing the heck out of it. I was doing a proof of concept for something.
Yes,
and,
of course you were.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny because I got head turned twice. One, guy in a 3-piece suit on a motorcycle, and second, what's that sticking out of his back?
Exactly.
So anyway, I thought it was my way of, again, drawing attention because that's part of the whole purpose of the ride.
Usage number 762 of a GoPro. Stick it on a tripod and take it on your bike. All right, and move. So next we got another thing.
So this coming week, so October 9th at 4 o'clock, should you want to jump onto Zoom, the Western Washington University Alumni Association and the Bellingham Art Walk has a featured artist for October. He happens to be me.
Of course. And you're an alumni of Western Washington University.
I am. Twice over. So so I'm the featured artist this month, and I have a virtual tour of my studio. So I've got some cool video content that'll also hit my Instagram feed after the show.
Excellent.
And if you're part of the Watch fam, you'll definitely like at least one of the videos, which I've leaked to you, so you know what I'm alluding to.
There you go. Yeah, it sounds good. And there is going to be a link in the show notes. And for the love of George South, drink. And in this case, AJ, what are you drinking?
This is chai tea.
Chai tea, of course it is.
It's Hygge.
We'll get to that later too as well. All right, so you got a virtual gallery tour.
Yes.
This week as we're
9th,
recording this, but at least on October 9th.
Yes.
And for all those people in the world who are experiencing Zoom fatigue, can you give them a little teaser about give them an incentive about what they will be enjoying by logging on to yet another Zoom meeting?
Well, if you like hearing me on the Bellingham podcast, I imagine a lot of my gallery tours could sound a lot like this.
All right. Well, when you want to hear the alto, dulcet tones of Mr. AJ Barse, plus take a look at...
Sweet alto. Thank you very much.
Oh, sweet alto as opposed to the savory alto.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The savory alto, I think, is exchanged or is present on 102.3 FM KMRE.
Or you might find it on kmre.org.
Absolutely. So check that out on October 9th. And we all know about Zoom because it's a
thing now. It's a thing.
It's a thing. So, and speaking of things, the past couple episodes we've had a chance to bore the bejesus out of our listeners in some cases, talking about new products coming soon.
Oh, yes.
In alphabetical order. We did a little bit of what's coming soon for Apple and their products, and then Amazon had their product fest. And Google couldn't just let that happen. No, they had to have their own product launch of all their updated equipment.
Sure.
Wait, let me drink this energy shot so I can make it through the list of stuff going on. And once again, we're trying to keep it clean. So here we go. New Google products for you to upgrade and lighten the balance of your wallet. Not one, but 2 Pixel phones coming soon. The Pixel 4a 5G.
Oof.
EIEIO. The Pixel 4a is... I guess incorporating the new technology that turns everyone into a wombat or something, the 5G technology.
I think that's the next version.
The next version coming soon. Okay, great. But not just the 4A 5G, where you also get to choose, if you wish, if you're in the Google Android camp, Google Pixel 5.
Yeah.
It does everything that the 4 could, plus more. Your pictures will look so much cuter. It'll cook you breakfast in the morning, and it'll cost about $100 more than what the 4A is right now.
And it still has pure Android,
of course,
as opposed to the not so pure Android.
Certainly. Also, as well, for those of you that are into the video realm in Google Duo, you now coming soon will have the ability to group watch video chats because
party watch.
I just can't enjoy watching people on a 2-inch by 2-inch screen more. I need to enjoy the group watch and have them around while I'm watching TV as well. So that's coming soon to Google Duo. There's also a new Chromecast.
Yeah, okay, so I do dig that, not gonna lie.
Well, then you can certainly talk about how $50 could be well spent for your home media.
Okay, so here's the thing. In the Google Chromecast sphere, you've had I'll say the current Chromecast has been long in the tooth. I have an OG original Chromecast.
The tooth's about to fall out.
Yeah. So this just gets a better spec bump, a better remote, a better experience, and no phone required, I believe.
Nope.
Yeah.
So anyway, 3 colors to choose from for $50. Also, we're pouring one out for Google Play Movies and TV app.
Oh, dude, that burned me, man.
Well,
I used to use Google Play Music. That was my music hub. And now I got piped over to YouTube Music. Okay, Google monikers, stick to one, please.
Well, it's tough. You guys.
No, it's not. They own Nest. Just make it Nest.
Google Nest Music.
No, drop the Google. Just call it Nest Music, Nest TV, Nest whatever. Just use the Nest moniker. Drop everything else.
They're throwing a whole lot of Nest spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. In this case, they're rebranding the Google Play Movies and TV app and calling it simply, because we can't keep anything straight anymore in technology, the Google TV app. And
which is a bad moniker because we used to have Google TV, and that was a whole separate thing. And then we had Android TV. It was bad. Bad.
And then finally, bye-bye Google Home and Google Home Max for those home speaker needs. That's now called the Google Nest Audio Speaker, because you can't just call it Nest Audio.
Nest Audio, Nest Sound, Nest Tunes. I don't care. Just 2 words, Nest, and then whatever it is.
Well,
Apple TV.
Google Board of Directors, you're listening to your new CEO right here. $99 for what they refer to as 75% louder sound than the typical home or home Max speakers.
Turning it up to 11.
Great googly moogly. All right. So that's equal time, because we wouldn't want any Google fans out there, the 4 of you that are listening to us after going through that.
According to the analytics, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So, Next on our show, we've talked about eliminating items and the struggles about having retail therapy urges.
I do like your journal.
It's a way for me to check myself before I wreck myself.
I like it.
Because buying stuff on credit is bad for my health. So,
right.
And kiddos, if you're listening, that's a 90s music reference. I'm not going to talk about the artist nor anything because it's explicit. So, I was able to throw down on a guitar, a Git fiddle, after doing a lot of research. And yes, I bought it sight unseen. However, the person who I bought it from used it for a recording session and was done with it. And so I got it for pretty good price, including the hard shell case included.
Now, this is actually a legit guitar, not a bass.
Oh, no, I don't play air guitar.
Well, no, like usually you're Captain Bass. Like,
right.
You know.
Well, I got my number one.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing that we talked about in a previous episode about another bass guitar. No. This is an electric 6-string bad boy.
Yeah.
It's a Gretsch 5410T. They call it the rat rod.
Yeah.
And
rat row.
if you just picture those huge, big rockabilly guitars like Brian Setzer of Stray Cats, or in some cases, if you're a fan of the Cult, Billy White, who had a really huge white guitar back then, it's just a beastie of a guitar. And for my 6'3", 1/8 of a ton frame, it fits me nicely. And it's in matte black, of course. I'm a fan. I love the pickups. It sounds wonderful. Hollow body.
Yeah.
So therefore, I will not be jumping around on stage since it can break easily. But I'm really pleased with how it looks and how it sounds. And it's made me want to rock out with my Gretsch out again.
Oh, nice.
If you will. But also the question of the amplification comes into play. Now, there's a whole lot of amplifiers. If you would just imagine the low wattage ones and just how loud they can get. Yeah. The big ones like Marty McFly and Back to the Future.
Hello, Marshall.
Yes, exactly. I have something different. Did a lot of research and noticed that there's a company called PositiveGrid out there, and they do a lot of app-related effects processing in which they created their own little practice amp. And I'm not going to be on the stage anytime soon because I really don't think the kids want to hear me bust out. Let's see, who was I playing? 80s hard rock. That ain't going to happen anytime soon. But as I'm doing my chug-chug, PositiveGrid Spark practice amp is, quote, the smart guitar 40-watt amp and app that jam along with you. And jam, it does. Oh, my goodness, AJ. I spent a Friday evening while my beautiful wife was out of the house visiting some family, and I put it through its paces, and I was transported back to my shy loner days where most Friday nights all of my high school peers were out dating, and I was there with my 80s hard rock songs on one speaker and my amp in the other, and it was blissful. I'm very pleased to see how it goes. Plus, I just got to nerd out for a minute. In this PositiveGrid Spark amp app, free on your iPhone or Android phone, but I stuck it on an iPad of mine just because I wanted to
bigger screen.
Yeah, a little bit bigger screen. You can link your Apple Music or Spotify library to it, and this is the beautiful part about it. There is a wonderful Chug Chug blues song that I enjoy, and it imports the song from Apple Music that you have connected, and then it analyzes it. And then after about 40 seconds, or depending on the complexity of your song, hi Dream Theater, it will give you a chord chart of the chords as it's playing. And so I could learn, because I didn't know what key it was in.
Sure.
I mean, I've been playing for 30 years. I could probably figure it out by the second verse. However, to be able to see C, F, B flat, oh boy, this is a game changer.
Yeah, that's cool.
And not that I'm going to be playing Dream Theater anytime soon, but wow, I was really impressed with just how that was floating by in sync with the song.
Now, that's not an extra subscription to your amp, is it?
I don't believe it is. However, when I got the Spark app, they had a one-time only, yes, I fell into the pressure, where I can get the whole ultimate pack with, I think it was mainly the presets.
Sure.
I got a whole lot of amps and cabs.
Which we'll talk about more in a sec. But
yes. Yeah. But I think the Learn or the Jam Along is free with the app.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really given me a one central area that I can actually turn it down and save my marriage and keeping my beautiful wife happy without saying, turn that poison down. Yeah, anyway, talk dirty to me some more, babe. And so anyway.
Wait. Okay, that was the best wife joke that you've ever dropped on the show, right there.
It's clean, too.
Talk dirty. Oh, my God.
Oh, folks, if you don't know what the heck
I'm just nailed it. That was great.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, go just check out 80s Headbangers Ball. It all will be explained. So anyway, I added a couple members to the family. I don't have a lot of guitar amps. I don't have any guitar amps. I have a bass amplifier to practice.
I was going to say.
Yeah. So, here's my compartment for guitars. Here's my compartment for basses. Really am a grinning fool right now. Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that when you told me off the mic that it had that whole chord progression thing. There's the thing about, okay, so like, hey, Guitar Fam, this episode's basically for you all.
Yeah.
What's cool about this is, like, with gear, people get very intimidated where it's just like, oh, I'm going to buy the best, listen to us, buy the best, cry once.
Yeah.
And they're afraid, like, I've seen this where it's like they're afraid to play it or play it wrong or get disheartened. Hearing the fact that you could basically take one of your playlists, plug it in through this thing, and have it display to you, not have to use like guitartab.com or whatever, that's cool.
It's one less avenue of tap dancing or juggling things to be able to enjoy and play. And once I learn the song, you get it locked into my brain. Yeah. Well, I may not need it, but I got a lot of songs over the years that have been accumulated in my Apple Music library. Hey, I kind of want to learn how to play an Eric Johnson song. Good luck.
Yeah, right.
But now I have the ability to do that. Anyway, it's just a wonderful breathing fresh life, giving me a chance to do something while I am looking at a screen. It's a different kind of looking at a screen.
No, it's something productive, creative, inspiring. That's really skookum, dude.
Sure. So anyway.
So dovetailing into that, like, and honestly, like, this next bit, I just wanted to riff off of the whole modeling thing, because modeling as in amp modeling.
Yes.
And this is like, it's funny because in the music sphere, especially in the guitar sphere, like, amp modeling versus the purists, man, it is like, there's a term of like in the watch fam where it's like watch neck bearding. Yeah. There's some serious guitar amp neck bearding when it comes to this type of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's unfortunate because, again, like, if you want to have that British vintage 1960s mod crunchy sound, the amount of money and space one has to have to establish that sound, versus, with all the pedals, the amps, everything. And then you have modeling where basically it's a piece of software or a piece of hardware that emulates all of that sound digitally. It's like having CDs versus record player folk duke it out of what sounds correct. Here's the thing. Like, I love the fact that this thing is basically a modeling amplifier. Mm-hmm. It's not made by Line6. Line6 is kind of the folks back in the day was kind of like the pioneers of that thing.
The Helix that's out right now is the bee's knees. But you're paying a pretty hefty price tag. Yeah. And if you are a professionally gigging musician, and if you have a 1962 Fender Strat original condition, original pickups going through a Fender Bassman amplifier, that's awesome. You're going to sound killer. Sure. However, the amount of places you're going to be able to play that vintage gear is dwindling little by little.
Well, hello, it's a pandemic now.
And, oh, by the way, unless you're going to go into the Northridge Trail with a long Horkin extendo cable so that you can crank it to that level in which the breakup of the amplifier will make you sound like Clapton or or these other artists, it's few and far between.
Right.
And so, therefore, the technology is starting to go, hey, guess what, purists? I can get something like that for $70 with the ultra mega premium add-on to the software. And I can tweak the sound to get looking like that through a PA system, into a recording. Yeah. And I don't have to make my ears bleed or my family disown me due to the decibel wattage.
And that's kind of where I was dovetailing into this, especially during a pandemic. Like, it's hard for musicians to be able to get the gigs. I mean, there's no venues open that I know of around town. And so, like, dovetailing into the whole Zoom thing. So Line6, I come from the other side of the house, which is kind of funny because, I'm more of the 6-string variety. You're predominantly mostly the 4-string variety. Yeah. But, between the two of us, we've held and played a lot of different axes.
Yep.
And in a lot of different setups. The thing that I usually use is a Line6, and back in the day I used to use the toneport UX2.
Oh yes.
And basically it's an interface that you plug into a Mac or a PC, and it has XLR or unbalanced depending on how you're jacking in. And it has its own guitar box software. Basically, it's modeling all the pedals, all the different cabinets and stuff. And if you are an artist, you might want to look at something like that, because you can still basically, we've seen this during COVID, where there's musicians that are doing live streaming events and running emulation, which is really cool. There's another piece of equipment that you can use called a Line6 Pod. There's multiple varieties. I used one of the OG originals where you had to side load it to get any of the new modeling software back in the days when there was modems. It's great.
Gotten better since then.
I know.
Trust me, but yes.
But, there's a plethora of things. And what's nice about all of this is if you go the side of emulating, if you go through doing it this route, it gives you the ability to plug in and also keep the music in your head, and especially if you're in apartments like a lot of listeners are here in Bellingham. Even if you did have a sweet Marshall half stack, and you had a big enough flat to put it in, there's no landlord in their right mind is going to allow any type of that happening in a stack. You know what I mean?
You got to get those big rentals over there on Sunset where the bands rehearse with a whole lot of blankets and acoustic treatment to be able to jack that volume up.
Right. But what's nice about this is, and again, just kind of throwing it out there for anybody who's listening, like if you are a musician, whether you're using, so full disclosure, I've got 4 guitars, 3 Fenders and a Dean, and 2 of them are amplified. The axe that I got here on my left, and then I've got a nylon string classical. Yes. And what's nice about it is that, as if you're into electric or if you're into hollow body or if you're into whatever, putting it in through a modeled amp, you can crank it up to 11 in your head and nobody's the wiser. And it's great. You can practice.
It is. But the main thing is what you're doing is the enjoyment of playing the music.
Yep.
And I don't need to be headlining Wembley Stadium or CenturyLink Field. I want to be playing something that brings me happy reflections of my days of youth when life was simpler and it was a 3-chord bash it out 100 beats a minute 4 on the floor groove, as opposed to I gotta keep it clean new music.
Right.
It's just wonderful to be able to every now and then play back some stuff that I enjoyed. So anyway, so a funny thing happened earlier this week. My wife, after seeing what kind of a week that I had in the day job, asked me the question, Chris, how would you design your perfect Saturday?
Ooh.
Now, a number of episodes ago, we probably did something similar to this, but oh my, how things have changed since then.
Really?
Yeah. Since the double-digit episodes, the days of yore.
Remember when we used to go out in town and other coffee houses were open? We'd do the show? Yeah, those days?
Yeah, we could still sit outside those coffee shops now.
Yeah, in my North Face. Anyway.
Yes. But the question remains, how would one design a day off? If you don't have to work on Saturday, cool. If that's a Tuesday, that your weekend is on Tuesday, Wednesday, how would you design that day? And I think that falls nicely in our Project Hygge.
Operation Hygge.
Operation Hygge sounds good. And how would we take that day of maybe not cozy, content, comfort, but do something that is of our choosing and not the boss man's, or the spouses or the significant others, or maybe in this case the kiddos. And thinking about that, I was thinking normally, since I'm so interfaced with the screen, I feel like Tank, the operator from The Matrix.
Does he ever think that this doesn't taste like tasty weed?
Yeah, exactly. All right, mouse. So, the main thing is for me in thinking about this, I want to wake up without an alarm.
Yeah.
I've taken it so far that I've tried to, since my wife has an alarm that is audible. She still has her phone in the bedroom. I've worked on taking that out of the bedroom, my phone. And now I have a little clock that has a light on it, like one of those little digital atomic clock travel thingies, because I need to know what time it is if I wake up in the middle of the night. Wake up without an alarm, that is probably the biggest gift to me that I can ask for in this current era. But the thing is, like, as I'm mentally looking around Bellingham and Whatcom County, and there's so many things to choose from, and we've always talked about places to go for food and drink and libations and social gatherings.
That's amazing that we're not 200 pounds heavier.
Dude, I got to do a little bit of cardio, if you know what I'm saying. The COVID is starting to take effect on
the Rona.
But I just feel like I want to park in Fairhaven, like in the Village Green area. Yeah. On a Saturday morning, let's just say 8 o'clock. And quite frankly, I don't give a rip what the weather is. I can dress for the weather. Yeah. I want to take that amazing Taylor Dock walk. I want to take Fairhaven Village Green, take that thing, go to Boulevard Woods.
A lot of people are doing that.
I'm going to grab myself a cuppa of something, whether it's that wonderful glass bottle of Voss seltzer in those little flavors that they got. Love you, Voss. Or
You're the boss.
Yeah, that's it. Nice one. Or get something warm. And then proceed on past Boulevard Park to this trail that eventually leads to kind of like those high-rise apartments or other places by Railroad and Chestnut. And I realize as I go up to State Street, I want to do the switchback samba.
Switchback samba.
Walk down State Street. When you get to Chestnut or Holly, take a turn, walk down, go to Railroad.
Oh, yeah.
And then just enjoy. Take a left or a right, depending on which direction I'm going. Go down Cornwall. Switch, go down Commercial. Switch, go down to Bay Street. Yeah. Go down to the Granary.
Yeah.
Or the Waypoint Park. Yeah. And then work my way back. And I realize, that's a long walk.
Yeah, that's actually close to what I did for the DGR.
Oh, well, as well you should. So obviously your perfect day of Hygge fun was on two wheels.
Yeah.
Mine would be just kind of revisiting downtown, because I'll shoot straight with you. I work at home. Yeah. I am pretty much at home. We don't do much going out because we're trying to stay safe. And also, it's a little weird. No, not going to lie. NGL. But I think
that's a thing.
Yeah, NGL is a thing that the kids use in their messages. I know I have a kid that uses that. So I think that's my day of just to be going on a long walk and let my mind absorb and not be looking at my screen.
Well, and getting away. I mean, like you said, 6 days out of the week, you're at the casa for work or for, pleasure. But like, to get out to do some leisure. Yeah.
And then to get back to Fairhaven and get in my car and then drive back kind of the way I went, because it's the Tom Glen Common, baby.
Yeah, Tom Glen Common.
Whether it's rainy or windy.
You mean Bellwether, it's rainy or windy.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, that was a good pun.
It was. I'm letting it linger. But just to enjoy the boats on the bay at the Tom Glen Common at the Bellwether, that's like my happy place in Bellingham in this current season. So, AJ, what about you? How would you design your Saturday? And does it have anything to do with a mountain?
Well, usually it would, but I mean, season's kind of done now.
Yeah.
Same thing with motorcycling and stuff. I am going to say I'm going to grok on it, and we did your perfect Saturday. We'll do my perfect Saturday next episode.
You got it. Sounds good. A little bit more thought. I'm glad you're contemplative as opposed to talking out of your gluteus.
Yeah, I'm not like that.
All right. Speaking of talking out of one's gluteus, I need to throw a company under the bus.
Please do.
All right.
And the tech company is?
No, not a tech company.
Be still my heart.
No. So here's the thing. A lot of folks may not have live broadcast network TV.
This is your quality assurance.
Yeah. Could this be considered quality? This is the segment.
This cautionary tale was selected for you by Chris Powell for your quality assurance.
Because I care about you, dear listener. So I'm watching the Seahawks play the Miami Dolphins. The commercials are playing in the background, and as I'm listening to one of my hosts talk about something important. Yeah.
Pew.
Yeah. Doo-doo. And there's a commercial that I'm looking at, and it's doing I believe it's the iPhone text ringtone, and it goes ba-ding, 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 in the audio track. Yeah. And I looked at the television as I was trying to listen to them. I'm like, what the heck is that? It happened on more than one commercial. Yeah. And so this is my outraged face, if you can't see me, folks.
He says it with a devilish grin.
I'm trying to not get too devilish. Wendy's, you're dead to me. You chose to have a commercial that in the audio track to get my attention so that I can look at a completely artificial burger that you're trying to push to people that does not look like that in any drive-through
ever
in a Wendy's franchise
ever.
You used the text message ringtone that I'm hearing everywhere around this area, and you made me lose my attention from my friend. You, Wendy's Corporation, are dead to me. It happened on more than one occasion. That this is now starting to be a thing where these notification tones to get our attention, because here we go again. What can they do to maintain
it? Was Pavlovian, right? I mean, it's oh man, my friend Kristen's gonna yell at me. I can't remember if it's behavioral conditioning or classical conditioning, but it's totally Pavlovian. Like, we hear the bell, we start salivating. We are so attached to the hip of these things where it's like, if we feel a buzz, or even if we phantom feel a buzz, or we hear a ringtone, if it's our tone, we look.
Well, and the thing is, I don't use that ringtone.
I don't either.
But the thing is, I'm like, okay, whose phone's going off?
Yeah.
You diabolical companies and corporations,
especially during a lockdown too. That's kind of shady, man.
It's skullduggery at its finest, and I was unaware.
Good observation, though.
Well, I'm observing because it's subtle.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, is that subliminal? No, I could, and I'm like, wait, because they show the commercial again.
Of course.
And I'm
it's
like,
football.
Right there. Oh yeah, that's a text tone. Yeah, no, that sucks. And I'm not a fan.
That should be the quote of this episode. No, that sucks.
Anyway, be aware of what you're not just visually consuming, but also auditorially consuming. You're being marketed,
manipulated.
You're being manipulated. You're being distracted. Take back that. It's you.
You be you.
You be
Dear
you.
listener, you do you. You be you.
And your attention matters to what you want to dedicate it to. And what's this other one you got right here for the YouTube video?
Oh, we'll say that for a different one.
Okay, tune in next episode for another quality assurance recommendation by AJ Barse. One thing that I do want to recommend is that you choose your utensils for your meals very wisely, especially when it comes to the forks. And with that, I think we should stick a fork in this episode.
Oh, fork. That wraps it up for this edition of the Bellingham Podcast. Thank you again so much for listening to us, laughing with us, rating us, reviewing us, wherever you like to get your podcast. Remember, if you are in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us on KMRE 102.3 FM.
KMRE 102.3 FM is community powered, and they are streaming all over the darn place on the internets at kmre.org.
And on that pandemic note, I'm AJ Barse.
And thanks for laughing along with us, folks. I'm Chris Powell, and we appreciate you joining us once again for the Bellingham Podcast.
Dude, I think secretly we get happier the closer we get to fall. You ever notice that? Like,
Absolutely.
this is the most lighthearted podcast we've had in a long time.
I think despite what's going on, it's nice to have a little bit of two knuckleheads on the mic.
Yes.